9 a.m. UTC. So, yeah, welcome and thanks for tuning in. So, let's dive into our topic right away today. Measure your progress to sleep better. So, if you're struggling with your sleep, and odds are, if you're watching this, this is the case, then this is a very important aspect. And by the way, it's also an aspect that most people miss out on. So, yeah, let's see measurement, sleep, like the first thought that you might think is, isn't it just enough to do stuff? Do the stuff that I know will help me, like implement the next sleep tip, or do the recommendation that my doctor gave me, or my sleep coach, or whatever, or I Googled it, like there's a big source of information out there. And the answer is actually no, it's not enough. Because as Peter Drucker, a well-known business consultant, once said, you can only manage what you measure. And if we don't measure things, we're kind of leaving our success up to, to luck, essentially. The thing with this is we typically tend to believe that we know what's going on, right? Our brains tell us what's going on. We try something, we see there's a result or there's no result. But unfortunately, this is not the full story because our brain and our memories tend to have a really biased view of things when we move forward. So this can lead to actually us doing things that work. Now we do it, and it might not work, then it starts to work, then it doesn't work. And this kind of confuses our brain. So our brain might tell us the thing we're doing is not working, right? In reality, if we would have the bigger picture, so if we were measuring what was going on, it will be clear to us that things are moving gradually into the direction we want to do. And vice versa, we might be doing things that we think are good for us, that are helping us, but they're not helping us at all. And now we're wasting our energy on things that are not working. So measurement, super powerful. And by the way, before we get started, and I'm going to show you how simple it is actually to start measuring what's going on to take full control of your situation. Let me point out that this is step 2 out of a 9-step program and system, which is the Sleeptrust sleep map that we're walking through. And the system helps people to predictively return back to superb sleep. So if you have not downloaded, and let me just show you this tool, have not downloaded your version, and it's free, of the sleep map, definitely get that, download it, use it, and yeah, put your energy into the steps that are just necessary and valuable when it comes to returning back to superb sleep, rather than just implementing the next tips. So let me see, where is now, oh no, here it is. So I just wasn't able, I'm trying to share my iPad screen with you, so bear with me. Here we go. So let's hope that, there we go, look at that. So this is actually the 9-step system that I was talking about, the sleep map. And what we're moving through here today is the accountability part. Super important, measuring where we're moving. But you can see there are more steps that you need to tackle. And odds are there are things that you are doing completely all right already. So when you look at these 9 steps, in particular, you don't have to do, you don't have to change everything down the road, but it's very important that you know where you need to focus on. So download this tool. There's a little video that goes along with it that will help you to figure out which steps you need to focus on and which things you already have in place, and super valuable. So, and by the way, that's the exact system I use for all of my coachings, and you can download it for free. So what we're going to do today is to talk about accountability, step 2. And in particular, we will talk about measuring things. So if we don't want to leave things to random coincidence, our sleep, which is so important, and you might be looking for your sleep for weeks, months, or even years. Odds are most people I work with have at least experienced insomnia or bad sleep for months, mostly years. So if this is you, you really want to start nailing this, because this is a major step to improve your sleep. And it's as simple as this. I'm going to start with a blank sheet of paper. So you pick up a blank sheet of paper, and the very first thing that we're going to do is we're simply going to draw a couple of lines on here to start the tracking. So up here, we're going to start with the days. Like we want to track days. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, and so on, right? And this is going to be like little check boxes. But you can see this is just a matter of a few seconds, literally. And you can do it in an Excel spreadsheet. You can use the PTS tracker that you can download for free that includes even more information that can be helpful for tracking your sleep. So now what you want to do, what we want to do here is, when it comes to staying accountable and to measuring what we're doing, is to figure out, are we doing the things that we are supposed to do? That's where it all starts, right? Being real to ourselves. So let's say we want to avoid, oh, let's take a different color. Avoid mobile in the evening. Like that's a classic, right? We want to stop using our mobile phones when we're lying in bed. Now, this is not a sleep tip I'm giving you per se. It's just a thing we're using for this example, right? So, okay, now you're starting to track this stuff, and so I already made a mistake here. And now you simply start tracking if you're actually doing the things, right? Because number one, there will be days where we will slip. There are no perfect human beings, right? And you and I won't be the first. So let's just acknowledge that there will be days that we're not going to do this stuff. And it's important to be clear and honest to ourselves how often we're really doing the stuff that, we say that we will do to improve our sleep quality. So this is number one part of the story. We're tracking the things that that we identified. And that's part of, step 4, 5, and 6, identifying what's really important to do for you practically. Call it sleep tips, call it something else. I call it the things that really tackle the core cause of your insomnia. And then we're going to see, are we doing the things, right? And if we don't do it, by the way, guys, if we don't do that, that's okay. The reason why we're tracking it is because we want to become and be honest to ourselves. And then once we see we have a glitch, we slip, we want to recommit. And that's one of my personal biggest mistakes from the past, when I had a stroke, like I did something and started a new habit and I slipped. After 2 days of slipping, I said, oh, I have to start from scratch. That's not true. You simply need to recommit and continue. Like, if you continue to do the things that you're doing and you think about this in the future or looking back from the future into the past, like it's different if you did it 10 times in a row and stopped then, or if you did it 10 times in a row, skipped 2 days, did 5, skipped 1, did 10. Like if you look at an entire year or a couple of months, like it's 10 versus 200, 300 times, 350 times, depending on how good you are. So this really matters. The second step when it comes to accountability, and that is the aspect that let me just share my screen again. Oh, damn, 1 second. So here we go. Share my screen with you. Fantastic. Always great when the tech works. There we go. So the second thing that we want to do now, this is the aspect, are we doing the things that we committed to, right? Very important. It all starts there. If we don't do this stuff that we know is good for us or that we say that we're going to do consistently, like there's no way we're going to improve our sleep. So this is number one. But number two, and that is majorly important, different color here, is our KPI, right? And a KPI is nothing else than a number that we use to track what's going on. So in our case, sleep quality. We want to track our sleep quality. We want to see, are the things working? Like, is this, let's face it, if you're struggling with sleep, your energy levels are low. And if you have, like, as I'm working with a few people that have like insomnia to the max, like sometimes not getting sleep at all, your energy levels are close to zero, right? You really want to know exactly where you invest your energy. So what we want to do is to see how are things working out. And the way to do so is to track our sleep quality, our KPI, which, by the way, if you didn't see step number 1, that would be my second recommendation besides of downloading the sleep map. Right, where did I, flipping around here? Didn't I? Ah, here it is. Like, this is part of step number 1, right? So if you don't have that in place, here at your KPI, check out the video to step number 1 where I walk you through how to do that. But for now, like, just say it's a number, it's an indication, and we're going to track like 1 low sleep quality, 10 highs. Where are we moving? So let's say we're 4, we're doing this stuff, right? We're avoiding mobile usage, and now like suddenly we've got a 6, we have much better sleep, and a 7. And then, and this is where the trick comes in. There might be a day where we're at 2, like we didn't use our mobile and we're feeling bad overall anyway. And now our brains might trick us and say, like, if that happens once or twice, it's not working at all. But reality is, if we would just move on, we can see there's a trend moving upwards, right? And what you can do is to calculate an average here. If you use the PTS tracker or you're in part of one of our coachings, you get access to this where you're gonna, the average is going to be calculated for you. And that way you can see, like, week in, week out, month in, month out, is my number moving up higher despite of me maybe experiencing a bad night of sleep, right? On occasion, which can always happen. So yeah, that's the major aspect. We want to do the right things. We want to see, how do we do that? We want to measure how things are working, how's our sleep quality moving over a certain period of time, and are we doing the things that we said and identified are good for our sleep, meaning addressing the root cause of our sleep and not like only a symptom. So big step number 1 out of accountability. The second thing is a pro tip from me, and I'm going to share a little graphic with you that brings the story down to the point. And this is besides of the Peter Drucker quote, you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So I just flipped it around in the beginning. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. But accountability is super important. We want to see what's going on. But on the left-hand side, you can see what happens. Like, if you do it on your own, it's majorly important, it's highly effective, and it can also be a little bit saddish story. Like, you're doing it on your own, you're tracking, it's like getting used to all of this, and does it make sense? And all of this chatter. Much easier if you look to the right-hand side, if you have an accountability partnership, an accountability buddy, somebody that you share your experience with once a week is like a good rule of thumb to meet up and just walk through, like, what's going on? Are you doing the things that you said? If you share that with somebody else, like, let's say you share, next week, I'm not going to use my mobile at nighttime, just to stick with that example. As said, like, there are much better things you can do for your sleep, but let's just take that. Now, you share that with your accountability partner. Now, like, it's not only you sharing it with yourself, but now somebody else is there, and you want to stay reliable, right? We all want to stay reliable. So it's much easier as soon as you share these things with somebody else to stick to actually doing it. It's more fun because now you're sharing it to somebody else, and somebody else can, reflect how great you're doing the stuff, cheering you up, saying, hey, my God, you're just crushing it, you're doing the things, and look at your results. Like, they might even, if you share the results, which I would highly suggest to do, they might see different things than you. We're all biased to a certain degree, and getting that input from a person we trust, we love to connect to, is just super powerful, super fun, and something I highly recommend. And by the way, I said somebody you trust. That does not mean you need to take somebody from your family or somebody from your friends. This could be a complete stranger, and it might actually be a very good idea to choose a complete stranger, somebody who is working on the same aspects, like somebody who's also struggling with their sleep. And once a week, you meet up, you share what you're doing, you share if you did it, you share your experience, and vice versa. And you keep yourself accountable, and you can also like learn from each other. It's just an awesome overall experience. So pro tip here, get an accountability partner if you haven't got one already. So closing and wrapping up the session, I hope you got the importance of staying accountable, of measuring things to return back to superb sleep, something most people are missing out that are looking for sleep that I initially talked to. If you haven't already, check out the comments. We're gonna download, put the download link to the sleep map in there. Download your version of the sleep map. Super effective. It goes along with a little walkthrough, just 10 minutes, where you can check in which aspects you already have in place and which ones might be worth diving in. And also feel free to check out the versions of the sleep map or to attend these live sessions, which I love you to be in. And then I'm going to close the session. Drop any kind of question or comment when it comes to staying accountable underneath this video, and I'm more than happy to answer all of them. So see you then, and until then, have a superb sleep.